Welcome to St. Vincent's. The first pioneer Daughters of Charity arrived in Santa Barbara via steamer at 6 o'clock in the morning on January 5th, 1858. They came at the request of Bishop Thaddeus Amat to start an English-speaking school. Having landed at the pier, they gathered their belongings and walked 1.5 miles to Bishop Amat's residence, and were later escorted to their new home in the Aguirre Adobe on Carrillo and Anacapa Streets. The adobe was promised to the sisters rent-free for 5 years by Don Antonio Aguirre. The bishop had also purchased a farm for $1. That land is part of the Santiaguitas Ranch. On January 10, 1858, the sisters opened the first English-speaking school and an orphanage, and thus began the history of St. Vincent's in Santa Barbara. Shortly before the 5 years were up, Don Antonio Aguirre died, and his family wanted to obtain the building immediately. The sisters built a shed-like structure on the Santiaguitas Ranch and moved with 19 orphans and 2 boarders. Eventually, the sisters moved into town and erected a 3-story building at 925 De La Vina, which housed the orphanage, the school for boarders, and day school for the area residents. There were no other schools in the area at that time. After 48 years, the day school was turned over to the Sisters of Notre Dame de Nemours, who had arrived in 1906. The Daughters of Charity continued the care and education of orphans. The orphanage moved to the Santiaguitas Ranch. A new building was constructed. This ministry continued for 30 years. The care of orphans was discontinued between 1933 and 1934, when the trend to place children in foster homes rather than institutions took place. Through the years, the original establishment in Santa Barbara was housed in different sites, but known by only one name, St. Vincent's. The combined school and orphanage was located at 3 sites: Carrillo and Anacapa Streets, the Santiaguitas Ranch, and 925 De La Vina Street. This building still stands at its original location and is one of Santa Barbara's historical structures. In 1936, the Department of Social Services identified a need for an educational program for mentally challenged girls. The Daughters of Charity at St. Vincent's were approached to develop such a program. St. Vincent's transitioned into a training program designed for high-functioning girls 5 to 15 years of age. The educational program followed specialized techniques for the training of exceptional children. In 1949, the school had an enrollment of 160 girls in the main building and 3 separate schoolrooms with a faculty of 14 sisters and 28 lay staff. At that time, St. Vincent's was one of 5 Catholic schools of its kind in the United States, the others being in Washington, D.C., Long Island, New York, Chicago, Illinois, and Jefferson, Wisconsin. For 58 years, this specialized program flourished. During the Second World War, Santa Barbara was the location of Hoff Military Hospital. Among the structures comprising this hospital were several framed bungalows. After the war, the hospital was abandoned, and the government sold the bungalows as surplus property. St. Vincent's School purchased 3 of the bungalows. These 3 buildings were remodeled and dedicated in 1949. The film shows the excitement of the children and the sisters, observing as the buildings were moved in sections onto the property of St. Vincent's. The three buildings can be seen at the left in this photo. Santa Barbara and the surrounding communities were very supportive of the Daughters of Charity and their ministry with the young developmentally challenged children. St. Vincent's responded by holding open houses, benefits, parties, and festivities for the community and the parents of the children. One of the cherished annual events in the 1950s was the May festivities. The students entertained visitors and displayed their work for all to see. A special feature of the afternoon program was the Maypole dance by 16 children. Miss Jane Timmons, Director of Music and Recreation, was in charge of the program. The afternoon also included team relay races. These events were a great support and encouragement for the parents to observe the physical and emotional development of their children. In June of 1962, Eunice Kennedy Shriver started a summer camp for children and adults with intellectual and physical disabilities at her home in Maryland to explore their capabilities in a variety of sports and physical activities. This grew into the Special Olympics program. Special Olympics at St. Vincent's was the dream of Sister Alicia Martin. Sister saw the possibilities of children with learning difficulties, frequently compounded by perceptual problems, trying to discover what far and high are. Virtually all of St. Vincent's children had never been involved in a track meet or any athletic competition. An ordinary athletic competition was beyond their functioning level. Special Olympics with swimming, track and field, gymnastics, and team sports provides the milieu to achieve and to excel. Most important, it developed a sense of self-worth and the realization of the talents and abilities God has given to each one of these children. Competition is not emphasized. It is rather, as the Special Olympics oath states, to let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. You will witness their spirit and determination. For 11 years, St. Vincent's participated in the Special Olympics. In 1971, boys were admitted to the St. Vincent's Special Education Program.
Good job, Kristen. Congratulations, Matt. That's right. Congratulations. Congratulations, Joey.
The spiritual component of St. Vincent's was supported by the Franciscan friars from Mission Santa Barbara. They came for the children's Mass on Sunday and feast days. There was a religious instruction by the sisters and priests. For non-Catholics, participation was voluntary. In this video, one of the students is receiving her first Holy Communion at Mass. The other children are participating by doing the readings at Mass, playing instruments, and singing. The children's participation in the services are soul-inspiring.
gave thanks and prayed. He broke the bread, gave it to his disciples, and said, "Take this, all of you, this is my body, which will be given up for you." Peace of the Lord be with you all. Talk to each other. I knew that all of the charities that happened before I went any other than the community. My mother used to deliver bags of food from Marysville to the poor people, and I used to go with her when I was like 7 or 8 years old. We used to go and pick up the bags, and then take it in the car and go around to different houses. And Sister Elizabeth remembers those days. She said she remembers me when I was a little child. Great. I thank you very, very much. And my father worked quite a bit with the daughter of charity as a lawyer and some of their institutions and on the board. So let us stand now for our final prayer. Lord, we give thanks for these holy mysteries which bring to us here on earth a share in the life of heaven to come. We ask this through Christ our Lord. The Lord be with you. May Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And after that, go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
In 1994, developmentally disabled children were mainstreamed into the public school system with special education programs. Over the years, the sisters provided other services in Santa Barbara. For a short time in the 1870s and 1880s, they had the Sisters' Infirmary across from the St. Vincent's on Della Vina. Later, In 1918, the sisters established the St. Vincent's Day Nursery at 220 West Canon Perdido Street in response to the needs of working women during World War I. It was discontinued in 1977 after 60 years of service, but the building still stands on Canon Perdido. St. Vincent's Institution played an important part in the history of Santa Barbara. The sisters left memoirs, stories, and letters journaling the days of their early work with their school and orphanage. The dates of the growth and relocation are all documented. From an orphanage, a day in boarding school, transitioning to a residential school for developmentally disabled children, a transitional program for single mothers and their children, a child care center, and today, housing for families and seniors whose income are below the median level. All of these memoirs, stories, and letters, as well as photographs, films, videos, and artifacts, are valuable archive material that attests to the constant response of the Daughters of Charity to the changing needs of Santa Barbara for the past 163 years.